All right, peace and much love, Zin Uru here. Welcome to the latest message from the Minista. I thank you all for waiting around for me to get back up here. It's very interesting because I'm feeling into this spiritually. I started a version of this just about 15 minutes ago. And I was a good 5-6 minutes into this broadcast. And y'all were here, and I was speaking to y'all, and just explaining that there is no such thing as time and space, and that we're all here together in oneness and spirit. And then all of a sudden, I just got hit with this wave. Woo. And I was speechless, absolutely speechless. So much so that I asked y'all to excuse me while I went back and I just sat down and meditated for a moment. And, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I don't have to give a name or any kind of intellectual explanation when like this universal wave hits you. The closest I can come is there's a Jet Li movie, great scene in the movie. If I'll put it up here if I can get it. It's a movie called Fearless. I'll put the poster up here, but the scene I'm talking about in Fearless, and next time it happens, I'll be sure to just stay on camera and we'll all feel it together. But it was this thing that happens often on your spiritual walk, and on the movie Fearless, Jet Li, he's out, he's on his hero's quest, and he's on the mend. He's coming back up into his senses. He's returning to his form with all the wisdom gained from his fall. And he's out working in the fields, in the rice fields, in the mud. And he's working really hard, and people are having to go and pick up their work after him, and he's not at one with nature around him and with the environment around him in this movie. And so he's sitting there, and all of a sudden the wind starts blowing, and the whole village just stops and just is at one and with harmony with the wind as it's blowing through each of them. And he's looking around like, what's going on? What's going on? I mean, what's happening right now? And then, as the movie progresses, as his character progresses, as he evolves, he begins letting go of his anger, right? He begins letting go of his anger. He begins forgiving himself. He begins making amends for his past. And through this spiritual awakening, he's also having what we would call a physical awakening, but it's the same thing, feel me? And so he smells the grass different. They show him working with the hands. They show him like have these moments of just feeling the wind. And then there's the ultimate scene, where we realize, and he realizes that he has been reborn. And he just sits there in this, the wind comes around the village, and he's just one with the wind, with everyone in the wind is speaking through them. And that's something similar, is the closest I can explain to what I just experienced. And it was a moment of clarity and peace and the knowing that everything is good. Everything is God. That the only real existence is truth. But we're not going to find that truth unless we have skill sets. Intelligence is a skill set. Like hip hop, intelligent movement, that's a skill set. Being hip is a skill set. To whatever your environmental needs are, if you're hip to them, that's a skill set. No matter where you're at the job or you're in prison. You're free and you're running around the forest living, Or you're living in the inner city. Those with the skill set, those who got some kind of skill, who can read their environment and be at one with their environment. It may not be the whole environment all stand still with the wind when the Spirit is moving. Doesn't mean you can't. And suffice it to say that if you give yourself permission to stand in the wind when the wind blows, to be still and know, to take that moment of stillness upon yourself, others will begin to join you in that stillness. And this is a special sight. This is a special spiritual skill. This is when we say hip hop. Now, hip and hop mean intelligent movement. Now let's just take a moment and talk about hip hop as consciousness. One word here, capital H, lowercase I, lowercase p, lowercase h, lowercase o, lowercase p. That's our collective consciousness. That's our spiritual sight. Let's look at that as intelligent movement itself and see the skill set that must be developed with that spiritual sight. You know, they say nature, if there's something in nature that hurts you, the cure is close by. If there's a poisonous thorn that protects a certain tree or a branch or whatever it is, and a human gets cut by it, and they can get infected by that, one of the roots growing under the ground close by can be picked up, boiled, chewed up, mudded up, made into mud, whatever it is, and put onto that wound. Okay? And then it heals it right up. So the infliction, the affiction, whatever that is that's in the environment that can cause harm, the cure for that harm is right there in the immediate environment. You just have to have a skill set and the sight to see that. And it doesn't matter what environment, because that's a universal principle. Nature is displaying that universal principle there, that the cure is always close by. The answer is always close by. What you need is always close by in your environment. And what is close by in your environment, sometimes that's the immediate reach. Oh, I got this in my environment right now. What I need is here in my environment right here and right now. I'm going to grab this. Or I need to go jump in the whip and drive to the next town over here to get this thing that I need to complete this task, to fulfill this purpose, to record this video, to fix this car, to grow this tree, whatever it is. Whatever it is that we got to go and move around, it is in our environment if it's there to help us and if we actually need it, if we actually require it. And this is where the spiritual sight comes in, because we can then see with all of these other options in our environment, all of these options and opportunities, like infinite options and opportunities, go there, go there, go there, go there, go there, do this, do this, do this, look at me, look at me, look at me, problem, solution, da, 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 da. There's a certain sight and focus that has to say, and look around and scan those things in like a superposition. And then go and touch or grab and get to the one thing that is needed, that root that's needed to make the salve, to cure the infection. And it's like that everywhere. And this is the sight. This is the sight when I used to use this as an example, as a skill set, as a spiritual sight and a skill set. When we used to go rent movies, right? We used to go rent movies. Man, I don't even know. I don't even know what generation, like what the age group is that doesn't remember going to rent movies, because 20-year-olds used to go with their parents to go rent movies right now. Right? So it's still, I think we all remember going to the Blockbuster or the Hollywood Video or whatever the video store is. And you get in there, and there's all these choices, right? There's all these choices to make. And sometimes you go in there, I'm going to get this movie. So-and-so told me about this movie, or this is the new release. I'm going to grab this. But like back when I was in like high school, junior high, well, really when I first learned to drive and me and the homies would hang out, right? We would just chew through movies like crazy because all we'd be doing is yapping and wrestling and, watching movies, right? And if you... Wow, nice one. Nice one. Yo, you're wilding out. You are wilding out. I'm going to leave that in there. I'm going to leave this in here. Like that cat just picked up on my youthful exuberance that I was just displaying because everything is energy. Here, let me move this over here. She knocked down my light. No big deal. That's why I buy cheap stuff. It didn't break and it's durable and it works. Let's make sure this is plugged in good still too. All right. Everything should be good. I'm going to leave that in this video because I was up in the zone. I was talking about being young and our friends, and we used to just be wrestling and boxing and fucking watching movies and drinking and smoking and doing whatever, and partying, and so the analogy going back to the Blockbuster video now, that cat just kind of threw something I want to talk about later is what are called pattern interrupts. And this cat just gave me a major pattern interrupt. But I like to teach in real time. I like to minister in real time. I don't need to edit everything out. And so they're going back in time, right? We're going back in time to the age and the era of Blockbuster video, of going to the video store. And I used to have this knack for being able to pick out movies or albums, going to pick up music at, albums when we used to go to the music store, like Tower Records or Rasputin Records or Amoeba Music. Like we used to go to these places. We would drive for, an hour and a half to go to certain places to get the right music. And so you're often, there's no internet back then. You have what you know from the radio, which, is better than it is nowadays. A lot more variety back then in the 90s. But you had to have a certain skill to know how to go and find the right kind of music. And that skill really ends up being knowledge. And then like the metaphysical field where you just feel something, You pick up a certain CD and it has a certain kind of feeling and a certain kind of weight to it. And the album, the cover of the album artwork, it just says something to you. And you maybe look on the back and you read the titles of the tracks and you're like, okay. And you've got this hard-earned money. And you're not just downloading where you get to listen to this and then pay for it. Like, you could, but like, getting your CD played at some of these places, man, the people who work there, they're in a groove. They're in their own little zone there. So you can't, you got to take this music and buy it. So you had to make the right choice. You had to have a certain skill set. And that knowledge was a skill set. You would know who certain artists are, who they featured, who certain producers were. Would I grab this? What era the music is? What style the music is? You would have this knowledge and then you would go by the feeling. And this is our outer environment. We have this knowledge and we have this feeling. And this is a skill. These are real skills. The knowledge and the feeling is the skill itself. And then you apply that knowledge, and that's the skill too. The application of the knowledge, the application of the sight, the application of the hip and the hop. That's the skill itself. Like the doing it is the skill itself. And what's accomplished is the skill itself too. And so in our environment, we want to be able to grab those things, talk to those people, attend those events. We want to make those choices in our environment. That's important because we know like we got a certain amount of money that we worked for and we want to get the right CD. We don't want to get a whack CD, but we want some new music in our lives. We want some new inspiration in our lives. And so the skill comes in and you pick out the right CD and then you go back because there's something involved in that moment that there's a cost to pay. There's a price to pay in that moment. And this isn't capitalism speaking here. This isn't monetary system speaking here. Trade and bartering and exchange goes way, 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 way back. That's a skill set in and of itself. So if you make the wrong choice, you literally pay for it, or if you make the right choice, you pay for it. But if you make the right choice, you pay for it once. If you make the wrong choice, you may have to pay for it again and again and again until you make the right choice, or just give up entirely. Now, on your purpose, you don't got no choice. There's no choice. There's no choice. You got to live your purpose, got to know your purpose, and be your purpose, and walk in that light. But that's a skill set too. Looking around all the music in your environment, looking at all the different sounds and different choices that you can make in your environment, how do you know to make the right choice? Well, you make the wrong choice a few times, or you realize that, I've got this sight. I've got this vibrational frequency, this magnet. It's like they call it the law of attraction, but it's really the law of magnetics. And magnetics work on harmonic frequency vibration. And so you're sitting there and you're like, man, I can kind of feel the right book in my hand. You go to a bookstore. Let's jump from the CDs to the bookstore. I can feel this right book in my hand. I'm at the used bookstore. And there's just 100,000 books in this place. And I got like $40 right now. I got 1 or 2, 3 books maybe at the most I need to get. And I'm just going to feel the right book in my hand. And then you feel that book in your hand, and then that book, the right book, for those with that sight to see, that right book is vibrating at the harmonic frequency that your hand is, and it's literally going to magnetize itself to that book. Okay? And then you grab that book, and you hold that book, and then that's the book. And then other times it's random. You're just walking by, and all of a sudden, boop, a book just lights up, bink, and you know, that book just lit up. Let me grab that book. And then other times, I need this certain book. I'm looking for this certain book. I think we got it over here. We don't have it over here. We don't got it. And then you got to go searching for that book. That's a skill set too. It's not like a one-way. It's not like the one-way skill set handles all different things. It's like a mechanic's got to know how to work on all these kind of different cars from different eras. You should know how to do that too in your skill set. You should be able to work that magnetic frequency, have that sight to see the light, and then the ability to shine your light when you're on the search. Those are all specific skill sets. So that's why it's not just the quote-unquote law of attraction. It's the physics of magnetization and light frequency. Because this whole thing is speaking back to you. It's mirroring back. It's speaking back, though. It's not even just reflecting what you say back. It's speaking back. People, like it's romantic to say the universe is a reflection of me, and God is a reflection of me. But when you're talking to the mirror, does the mirror really having a real conversation with you? And what's that about, Like another person talking to you when you're having a conversation back and forth. That's what I'm speaking about. That's this outer environment. It's speaking back to us, even through the cat, right? This outer environment is speaking back to you through the lights, through the little flickering of the book, through a certain smell, through a certain direction. That's a skill set. That's hip-hop as consciousness and as sight. If you have eyes to see and you're hip to your hop and you know how to work that. And how do we work it? Practice. That's a skill set. Skills take practice. Skills take time to develop. Skills take knowledge. Skills take study. Skills take performance. That's why it's called perform skill. You can practice your skills, but the practice is a performance. You feel me? I realized that when I used to say, I'm practicing my rhymes. I had this idea I was practicing. Practicing is hard. But then I realized, I'm always just performing my rhymes. When I'm writing and I'm performing, I'm like, ba, 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 da, 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 da. I'm just feeling it because I'm giving it a little performance each and every time. And then getting on the mic, that's a performance in and of itself. But it takes It took repetition, consistency, a desire, a fulfillment of that desire, a urging, a willpower, a pushing forth to get to that skill set and that skill space that like 10,000 hours have been spent on that mic or on the recording or the mixing or the mastering or whatever that is. You put that time into your skill set, it's going to reflect something back to you, which is your perfected self. How much power do you have over you? Why are you you? You are you. Z-I-N, Zin Uru, you are you. You are you. Ain't nobody else is you. Yeah, we're all together in oneness, but nobody else is you. Okay? We're all together in wholeness. We all share the breath, and it's all just big one thing. Nah. That ain't really hip hop. I mean, we recognize the oneness of all that it is, but we also recognize the individuality that God created us to see, feel, and be ourselves as. That's not the sin. That's not why mankind fell. If you notice, our fallen state is, while we're walking around, we have forgotten that this is who we really are. The One, the Christ, the Ma'adi, the Buddha, the MC, the Minista, the teacher, the prophet, the saint, whatever it is, the healer, the singer, the songwriter, the artist, the liberator, the preacher, the pimp, the hoe. It takes skill set to be all of those. And each one of those skill sets was learned. And people don't want to learn. And this is interesting because I have to come back, I have to come forward, I have to confess, because I've been beating on technology the past year. Beating on it. Just beat. Every chance I can get to diss technology, I've been dissing it, right? While I'm using it. But I'll tell you something, like, as censored as YouTube is and this, that, and the other, the thing about YouTube is this. It can help an individual become self-sufficient in their life on many things. Because there are people giving their skills away for free on YouTube to teach us and show us how to change a fixture, a light fixture. You can go on YouTube, how to change light fixture, and then get into the different types of light fixtures, and you can fix your own light fixture. Or you could change your own oil in your car. Or you could save yourself money by, doing whatever it is. Like the car world is crazy on YouTube. They got every little thing. I've been working on a car. I got a new car. Well, not a new car. I got a used car. I got a little Acura. I sold the Mustang. Boop. Got rid of that and got this little Acura just as a little project to have in the house. And so you go on YouTube and you can find all these things out about cars, and from how to paint it yourself for like $300 and everything on up. People with spray paint can show you how you get your spray paint on, and you get the base and the clear coat on after the paint, and these things look great, and they're polishing them up, and I'm like, yo, like they didn't have no videos like this. We had to go out and find somebody to go learn a skill like that when I was growing up. Like when I had my old cars when I was growing up, I had to go find somebody and know somebody. I only got an old car because my uncle down the road worked on old cars. And so he showed me the ropes of how to work on cars. And so if I had a problem with my car, I'd go see my uncle and he'd help me and show me, but it was hands-on experience, right? I used to dig that, man, because I had the nicest whip because I could fix it myself. I bought an older car, we got it all fixed up, put the elbow grease into it, spent the money as it came, fixed up an old classic car. And, but because I had that skill set, and it's something I just kind of put down for many years, and I picked it up again recently. Because I can own an older car that's fun and zippy and doing all this stuff because I can fix it myself. I can do these things. And I can really do them because of YouTube. I don't have an uncle to go to, and these cars are way more advanced than the ones I grew up with. And but they're not. They're simple. They're bolt-ons. They're machines. They're this human thinking that creates these things. So when you start thinking about your house or fixing something up or creating something in your house or in your environment, your immediate environment, it's something to build, right? Put those hands to use. They used to say, idle hands are the devil's playground. Idle hands are the devil's playground. And that was written before people would sit there going like this with thumbs. The hands are idle, the thumbs are moving, right? Even if you're typing, the fingers are moving a little bit, But that's an old saying. And so it's good to know that we can use our hands. What can we use our hands for? What can we go in our environment and use our hands? Or what kind of skills do we have in our environment? And back to that with like a YouTube, like all those skills are immediate. So even an individual can go and master their home and master their street and master, the sinks and the faucets and filtration and whatever they want in their home. Gardening, all kinds of people tell you about how to do gardening in every kind of, from apartment. There's people who make little herb gardens in their apartment. You already know that, like, you get the lights, you grow the herb, gardening's big, the indoor gardening's a big, you can get all that knowledge there. Well, there's literally no reason to have to go to school anymore. There's literal, arithmetic can be learned very easily for children. Measuring, reading, writing, arithmetic. Measurement, that's arithmetic, like the measurements. How to measure things, how to build things, put those things together, simple math equations, how to read and write. That's it. That's all a kid needs to know. History should be taught culturally by the culture of the people itself, not the school system. That's not a culture. The public school system is an indoctrination center. That's not cultural. I'm not saying a teacher here or there can't cross over and try and rescue kids out the matrix like that, but big up to the ones who that's your position in life, like big up to you. I'm glad for those teachers that I had in school who were helped me see through the matrix at a young age. Shout out to Mr. Fraga. He taught me about herbal tea. This teacher came in, his skill set was herbal tea. He was like in the matrix, right? And I went to school one time. And he said, hey, he goes, I see you got a little cold there, right? Oh, no, I skipped school, right? He called me out. I skipped school. I called in sick for myself. I used to call in sick for myself because my voice changed. And I sounded just like my dad. Everybody thought I was my dad on the phone, so I used to just call and pretend to be my dad all the time, especially in school. So I came into school and he's like, hey. I said, hey. He goes, hey, you look pretty healthy, huh? I said, yeah, I feel great. He goes, but you're sick yesterday? I said, yeah. He goes, I think we both know you weren't sick. I said, no, I got excuse. He goes, yeah. He goes, I know you weren't sick. And I said, okay. He goes, but since I am your teacher, I have to teach you a life lesson now. And I said, oh, okay. And this guy was a skilled teacher. He was really funny. He took a little sticky pad note and he wrote prescription and he prescribed me what was called throat coat tea, because he asked me. I said, my throat was sore. That's why I stayed home, just lying my ass off. And he told me, go get this throat coat tea. And it was the cold season and stuff, so I had a sore throat like a week later. And I had that tea. I went out and got that tea. And I felt so good so quickly. And I was like, man, my body feels better taking, it was like a cold tea. Oh, it has the active ingredient of Sudafed in it, but from the roots and the herbs, right? And so I started drinking that tea, and I was like, wow, I feel better already, right? And now I take that tea with me. I took a thermos to school, walk around, because I don't like being sick. I never did. And so I learned, I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And next time I went to the supermarket, we had a cool supermarket that actually had these teas. This was like very beginning of when these things started kind of coming into a supermarket. Yo, wow, that cat is just breaking every kind of boundary this week. She's a conscious being doing that on purpose, and that's why she ran away, because she knew she sinned and did wrong. So back to school though, right? I didn't like being sick, and so I went and started buying those herbal teas in the environment. And that became a skill, what herbal tea to take, and then the skill to know which one of the herbal teas is for what, and then kind of looking at the active ingredients and then learning later that you can go buy those roots too, and then make tinctures from those roots. And like this whole world opened up of roots and eating healthy and eating right. And I mean, I like to eat healthy. I always kind of had this thing, you know, born with it, but like just put me into this whole holistic path of life because he was a teacher with skill. And then he passed me on the knowledge, and I went and sought out that knowledge. I grabbed that knowledge, right? And look how perfect that was. I would maybe not have gotten that knowledge at that time in the right way had I not called in sick and pretended to be my dad from school. So, you know, life is funny that way, right? Life is funny that way. And these are life skills that we're talking about. Having a good attitude about life. Listening when people give you advice and knowing that like random advice, not bad advice, being this discernment is a great skill to have as well too. So we're walking around our environment. Let's be open and aware of how many things require skills in life. The skills for knowing herbal remedies, and then the skills to have your body where your body actually is affected by those herbal remedies because your body's running clean and your body's well fit and your body's in shape, so the herbal remedies work. Let's not get it twisted. Some herbal remedies don't work for people because their body is so toxic already. People all the time, those herbal remedies, that's like snake oil. That shit don't work. I'm like, yo, you're nuts. Like I never get sick, and if I even feel a little off on anything, I know what to go and do and take. And if I have to, I can go find somebody who does know because I know the language. I have the skill of the language to speak. And the belief and the faith, that's the skill as well. And the discipline to get there, that's a skill as well. My nobility, are you hearing me? Do you see how much of this is a skill set? Breathing is a skill. Do you know how to breathe right? Is your breathing calm? Does it command your environment? Are you getting enough oxygen in so your brain actually works? Is your blood moving and flowing? Do you have some fluidity in your body? How are you going to take a herbal remedy if your blood don't even move around in your body and expect it to work? And this is God's physics. This is the way Creator designed us to be skillful human beings, to have skills, to teach these skills and pass them on. This is the foundation. Skill is the foundation of all society. There is no society without skill. None. And all of these skills, the artistic skill, that builds society. The gardening skills, the food skills, that builds society. The how to build a home and shelter, that builds society. The hand skills, the mental skills, the physical skills, the soulful, spiritual skills. And this society, the way, not the skillful society, but the so-called New World Order, the so-called whatever system, Babylon system, whatever that thing is. They want people to go into their school system and come out a product and then become the one or two things that they give the person permission to become. Then that person just goes and dies while feeding all of their energy and time into the matrix system, into the lie. And remember, a lie by its very nature doesn't exist. It's imagination. It's imagination time, boys and girls. And they're imagining a really sick world. What does that television do? Like a lot of what happens on TV and people think is happening in the real world, you go out and it's not happening anywhere. But everybody's walking around saying, oh, this is happening, this thing is happening. And something's happening. Oh yeah, something's happening. I ain't saying nothing's happening, but what is actually happening when you go outside? Is Armageddon happening when you go outside right now? I hope not. And if it was, do you have skills to survive Armageddon? What are your skills to survive that? Everybody who's watching this survived 2020, right? What were your skills that had you survive 2020 and other people didn't? What was those skills? Have you even asked yourself what skills keep you alive right here, right now, today? What are those skills? Because everybody's got some kind of skill if they're living and breathing. Even a mooch has mooching skills. Even a couch potato has couch potato skills. It's the library. It's the movie store. It's the music store. There's all these different skills that you can buy, but some of them are good, and you're going to watch it. You're going to watch that movie. You're going to rent like Dark City. And you go, Dark City? Yo, that sounds dope. Let me read about this and read the back and be like, what? And then go and watch Dark City. And you just, then you watch it and like, you're like, man, I got something to contemplate on now. I got something to think about now. Let me, as opposed to renting some whack movie and just wasting your time. Like that's our life though, you feel me? Like the choices that we make, the skills that we have can either be a whack movie or a dope movie that actually kind of, ignites the hip hop, ignites the sight, ignites the imagination, the creation, inspiration. I don't know why people have allowed ourselves to get to this point in life. We've known better. We know this. I'm not saying anything that nobody doesn't know. But the fact that we can like build something for ourselves with our collective knowledge and skills, and we're not doing it, to me, that only speaks to one thing, and that is a spiritual problem that we are facing as a community. We are facing a spiritual problem as a community. And I know because since 2005, when I officially walked into the temple of hip hop, and I ain't shut up since. Literally, I have not shut up since 2005. My mouth has been going on the phone, on video, in person, on tour, at home, wherever I'm at. My mouth has not stopped moving about hip hop since 2005. Nonstop. It's 2022 right now. We know we got the skills. There's a lot of skill in our community. That ain't the issue. As far as skills go, we all got artistic skills on lock. Hip hop got artistic skills on lock. We've got everybody who's got the artistic skills also has some kind of a job skill, like construction workers or landscapers or mechanics or truck drivers or lawyers or whatever it is, has those skills too. So we've got that. We've got life skills. We know how money works. We have trust with one another. We even have the vision. We hear the vision. It's a great idea. Let's do it. Let's do it. Why ain't we doing it? It's something spiritual, my nobility. It's not even belief or perception. And this is one of those questions where it's just meant to be the question right now and perform intelligence and perform this question, why we ain't doing it right now. I have my theories, I have my insights, but why we ain't doing it right now? Let's just take a moment and let's define what skill is. Let's read from the Gospel of, I'm going to read the dictionary, then read from the Gospel of Hip Hop, and then in closing, we're really going to tune into our spirit, because I want to remind you all, I got hit with a wave earlier. And that wave is just nature. It's just the wind of nature and spirit, and it blew through me. And I still feel it in my chest right now. And this closing is going to be a way for us to syncopate with each other, past, present, and future. Because those who are watching this in the future are syncopating with themselves here in the present and the right now, where I'm in this room. Realize that if you're in this room right now, your future self is here with you right now. And anybody watching this on the video, your past self is here in this room, right here and right now. That's a skill. To see that, to know that, but more importantly, to be that, that's hip hop, my nobility. Put this up on the screen here. We'll just go through these definitions real quick because we should define skill. Skill. Definition, noun. Definition 1. Proficiency, faculty, or dexterity that is acquired or developed through training or experience. Now, put this on everything. This isn't just physical dexterity or physical training. This is spiritual, mental. This is every level. Proficiency, a faculty or dexterity that is acquired or developed through training or experience. This is where spiritual training is so important, my nobility. This is where the training comes in. And you want to be in a position where you are being trained in something new, whether you're training yourself, and you also want to be in a position where you have skills, especially as you get older and more developed. You want to be able to train others. You want to have skills that you can pass along to others as well. This is how our society is built. And synonymous with ability. So skill and ability. We talked about ability a couple weeks ago, and being able to do things. Ability. Skill, definition number 2A. An art, a trade, or a technique, particularly one requiring use of the hands or body. An art, a trade, or a technique, particularly one requiring use of the hands or body. Wow, I mean, that's hip hop right there. An art, a trade, or a technique, particularly one required use of the hands or body. Literally, skill, a DJ is definition number 2, is a DJ. It's an art, it's a trade, it's a technique on the techniques, particularly one that uses the hands, and the body or body. That's a DJ right there, DJ skills. Definition number 2B, a developed talent or ability, writing skills. So these are things we know, we understand what this is. We have to put in that time. We have to acquire and develop, love and develop our, what is Minista G. Simone, acronologist G. Simone, her acronym for lady, love and develop yourself. See, she's talking about skills in that one. Lady, love and develop yourself. That's her acronym for lady. Dope, right? A developed talent or ability, writing skills. Skill, a reason is a skill. It says it's obsolete, but a reason is a skill. I have a reason to do this. That's part of your skill. You have a reason to do something. Wow, that is included in skill, having a reason to do something. My nobility, that is purpose. They wanted to take skill and erase purpose out of there. Nowhere does it say purpose is a skill. Let me tell you, purpose is the skill. A reason. That is your purpose. This is my reason for doing it. I have a purpose for doing this skill set. I have a reason for fixing this car. I have a reason for grabbing this mic. I have a reason for healing myself. I have a reason for taking this cat right off of the table so she doesn't knock anything over. I have a reason to read definitions from the American Heritage Dictionary, Volume 3. Skilled. Having or showing skill, being an expert. Yeah, being an expert, that's a great word too, expert, expertise. It's synonymous with being proficient. See, skill, being proficient and being good at something. Requiring specialized ability or training, a skilled trade. See, get that training, get that specialized ability, and get many of them. You don't need just one, you need many. As a full hip-hopper, you need many skills, my nobility. Skillful. Possessing or exercising skill, an expert. See, synonymous is proficient. Oh, that's the same as skilled. Characterized by or requiring skill. Yo, being a cat parent takes a certain amount of skill, right? Like you got to be able to this little kitten is be whipping around the house, and I got to be able to catch her and stop her and play with her and help her burn her energy and do all these other things, right? And don't give her no bad habits. So, looking out for a cat takes a certain skill. These plants take a certain skill. How to cut a crystal takes a certain skill set. So this is learned behavior. It takes time to get those skills and really getting down to how the hands work, right? Man, my nobility, I'm so happy to talk about this week as skill, because our humanity is a skill. Our spirituality is a skill. Our abilities are our skills. That's our abilities. Are we able to do things? Faith is a skill. All of the divine performances are skills. Discipline is a skill. Once you really get into the divine performance over time, you'll see that it's just one performance, that they're all the same thing. They're all literally the same thing, but they're just different perspectives on the same thing. Patience and discipline are the exact same thing, but they're different perspectives of applying the same thing, which is spirit. You're applying spirit to a situation that needs it. So a situation needs the spirit of patience, but it's the same spirit giving the patience as the same spirit giving the discipline. You'll see that with these divine performances, that it's just one performance. And so when we say perform skill, yeah, all of these are skill. Hip-hop is a skill, prayer is a skill, God, listening, study, discipline, that's all skills. The whole divine performance is a skill. Each individual one is a skill. Each understanding the gospel of hip-hop is a skill. The gospel of hip-hop itself is a skill. Hip-hop itself is a skill. You are a skill. Mastering yourself is a skill. The mastery of self is a skill, and it takes skill to master oneself. So if you don't have the skill, you have the skill by becoming the skill. The skills is like a master MC. When did the skill begin? The idea. And then after the idea, I think I should rhyme. I feel like I would be a dope MC. I feel like I could pick up that mic. And then the faith, yeah, that's a good idea. I need to pick up that mic. And then the courage, I'm going to go grab that mic. And then the study and the skill to watch and see and then grab and then the knowing language and how to word and then how rhythm and how to speak rhythmically and how to rhyme and all these other little things start coming in. They're all skills in and of themselves, and it's just for one giant skill. It's for one giant spirit with all these other perspectives going up into it. And as all these little pieces are coming together and forming, that's the thing itself. That's the living being itself. That's the truth itself in that way. You're like the living truth when you really know who you are and you really perfect the skills. And then once you perfect one skill, it gives you an idea that I was able to fix that on the car. Now I can fix this next, or martial arts was a great example. That's why I think kids should all learn some form of martial arts growing up, because it teaches a systematic way of learning something that produces results. Noticeable results, instant results, confidence, the ability to defend oneself, body physics, posture. All of that comes in, and then you learn a system of self-improvement. And then you can take that system of self-improvement that you've just kind of watched how the process works of developing a skill and growing a skill and becoming the skill itself. You just apply that same process to anything you want to learn. Anything you want to learn. It's the same process. Ignorance is the first step. Not knowing is the first step. It's the funnest step too. When you don't know, you just start, let me watch this one, and let me learn about this, and let me read about this, and oh man, this is crazy. What's going on? I got all this information now. Now I got to start discerning. Now I got to start applying it. Now I got to see what works. And this guy says this is it. This guy says that doesn't work, and this guy says that neither of them know what they're doing, and they all say each other's wrong. How do I know which one is right? Well, you got to practice. You got to perform. You got to have faith. You got to have that sight. Who do I listen to? This guy's telling me to do it this way. And this guy's telling me to do it this way. Who should I listen to? The inner voice? That still small inner voice that just kind of knows, that just sees which book and which movie to pick out, which one to grab, where to drive. You start seeing the signs. Like last week I was driving. Genesis Church, God is able. I just drove by that. Oh, I was on my way. Yeah, it was a good night to go pick up some rims. Cheap. I'm cheap. Facebook Marketplace, great place, right? Fuck Facebook, but man, like with all the devious shit they're doing that they don't need to do, the actual truth of it, of like the marketplace where you can go sell stuff and buy stuff and interact with the community and stuff, like that's good. And there is a need to keep certain things off of there. You don't want, there's some gross things and disgusting things happening in the world. We want people to get murdered live. But anyway, the point being that on my way there, I was driving and I was like, I just felt it. I was like, oh, this guy's going to give me a good deal. I already know what this is. I got the feeling everything is just lining up. He's ready right now. As soon as I text, I got the rims. Come look at them. I go and I grab them. They fit the car. They're error correct, And so I grabbed the rims and he lowered the price, like cut it almost in half. And but on the way, Genesis Church, God is able. Now, I wasn't looking for a sign, but I saw a sign anyway. And those are the best ones. The best signs are when you ain't looking for the signs and the signs are speaking to you. When you ain't got to look for a sign, but the signs are talking, that's the best way. Trust and believe, that's the best way. When you're looking for the signs all the time, oh, maybe that's a sign. Oh, I don't know. Maybe that's the sign. I don't know. I'm looking for a sign, so I'm seeing signs everywhere because I'm looking for a sign. Which one's the sign for me? Are they all for me or none of them for me? I don't know. I'm looking for a sign. Okay? And that's part of the skill too. But when you just don't need a sign like that, or if you do need a sign, you're already looking and it's already guiding you and you're just following the signs. You're not having to, is this one the right one? Is this one? No, you just know which signs to follow when you go and you pick out the right book, you grab the right rims, or you get the right movie, or you go to the right concert, or you talk to the right person who's hiring you, or whatever, you run into whatever it is. And so that sign, God is able, right? I was just like, man, talked to my friend the night after. He was really getting deep about Cain and Abel and Adam and Eve and Lilith and it was fascinating, right? And so that sign, God is able, had a whole other meaning to it, right? That same night on the phone, I'm like, yo. And I just talked about our abilities, our spiritual abilities, and what is our abilities and what does it mean to be able to do something. Capable. This table is solid. He's very able-bodied, So when we see these signs in life, we should have that spiritual sight, because I'm telling you, this thing is talking to us all the time, and y'all know it, or you wouldn't even be on here. You already know this. But it's like talking, and as you learn and we learn to know and develop the language that speaks back with it, can really start accomplishing some things. And not that the things that we think we want to accomplish, but the things that God has really requiring us to accomplish. See, we got all these skills, we know all these things, but why we ain't doing it yet? Open up to the gospel of hip-hop perform skill. This might be one of the reasons why we ain't doing it yet. Because people ain't really doing it. They about it, but they ain't doing it, You can be about something and still not be doing it. Doing everything but what you're supposed to be doing, thinking it. Perform skill. Divine performance number 12. From the third overstanding, the divine performance in the gospel of hip hop. Written and presented by the teacher KRS-One to the temple of hip hop. Perform skill. Because the hip hop is independent, pay attention, my nobility, watch this. Because the hip hop is independent and self-sufficient in the world, perfection of a chosen skill that is in demand gives the hip hop a lifestyle that supports the seeking of her purpose in peace. As with the performance of discipline, seek the perfection of your chosen skill. Practice perfecting your skills. See the plural there, the skills. Most people want many things for themselves. Some have dreams and goals they wish to achieve for themselves, but they just continue to admire the achievements of others because they simply have not mastered the skills needed to manifest their own dreams and goals. All goals require skill mastery to be achieved. The most important questions a hip hopper can ask when daydreaming, visualizing, praying, and or wishing for things and desirable situations are, what am I actually capable of doing? There's that word able again, capable of doing. What can I really accomplish? What have I mastered? And what are my skills? See those right there when they're like that and written in italics? You could write those down and look at those daily. Ask yourself these questions for a full week. Just write those questions down and ask them once a day and think about those. Have some answers. You may want to write the answers down. You may want to just think about them. You may want to talk into a recorder. But these 3 questions right here, 4 questions. What am I actually capable of doing? What can I really accomplish? What have I mastered? And what are my skills? And start answering those. Answer those. Really answer those questions. Those without a perfected skill that is in demand will find it difficult to lead an inner city spiritual life. I'm going to read that again. Those without a perfected skill that is in demand will find it difficult to lead an inner city spiritual life. Having a skill that is in demand is what separates the one who is chasing resources and opportunity from the one who is chased by resources and opportunities. You see that perspective there? You see that perspective, my nobility? You don't have to chase the resources and opportunity. You are chased by the resources and opportunity. You just come across the opportunity. It just finds you automatically. It calls you on the phone. It sparkles somewhere. It's amazing how this works. Now get this right here. Here's what you want to know, those on the path of an attuned hip hopper. Okay? Attuned hip hoppers are experienced in hip hop's 9 elements. Now notice the spelling of hip hop's 9 elements there. Very important why it's spelled as consciousness here. And we are experts at 2 or more of hip hop's artistic elements. So you got to know about the 9 elements. You got to understand the 9 elements, have some idea, have an experience with the 9 elements. And then start mastering 2 or more of the hip-hop's artistic elements. We seek to sharpen our skills in every phase of life that requires skill. Say that one again. We seek to sharpen our skills in every phase of life that requires skill. In parenting, in teaching, in maturing, in apologizing, in loving, in playing, in fighting, in speaking, in cooking, in working, in cleaning, in eating, and with all the elements of hip-hop and with all the performances of the divine performance, perform with skill. Seek to be an expert at all that you do. Do nothing haphazardly. When performing your skill, you must be conscious of how skillful you are. Attuned hip-hoppers who perform the divine performance learn that each performance requires spiritual skill. In many cases, this is key right here, my nobility, and this is why you gotta grab life and you gotta look at life and you gotta take those challenges of life with willpower and courage and faith and really walk in this, because this is where the nectar is. This is where the nectar of life is. In many cases, such skill is found and perfected in battles, confrontations, and threatening situations. Never seek confrontation, but never be afraid to fight or display your skill. It is when we are challenged by people, places, things, and events that we are made strong and skillful in life. For at the end of all human knowledge and strength, God shall appear. Once fully practiced in overcoming the challenges of life, the attuned hip-hop is spiritually strong and prepared to teach and lead others. Perfect your cultural, spiritual, artistic, and intellectual skills by performing your skills often. As Henry W. Longfellow once stated, "I will be a man among men, and no longer a dreamer among shadows. Henceforth be mine a life of action and reality. I will work in my own sphere, nor wish it other than it is. This alone is health and happiness. Perform skill. Perform skill, my nobility. You feel it? You see it? I wrote down here pattern interrupt. We had a couple of those tonight, so I'm going to talk about the pattern interrupt, and I want to bring that into skill. Because pattern interrupt is a great skill to have, and it's something I've been wanting to talk about. I brushed over it last week. Let's talk about what we just read in the gospel, though, for a minute. Because this gets down to, like, what is hip-hop? When people are like, what is hip-hop? What is the gospel of hip-hop? It's a book about skills. It's a book about having a spiritual sight and spiritual skills. A skill, being the ability to hear and see God and God's direction, that's a huge skill that's missing. That's like the most important skill of all skills, right? And that's what you want to develop. And all these other skills can help develop that sight. And that sight, going just straight to God, will help develop all these other skills. Because you want to know God, you're going to want to know how to express yourself in your art and your purpose. Like, you want to know God, you're going to have to know, like, how to do things that you never thought were possible before. Because when you accomplish something in your life, when you finally start accomplishing what it is you want to accomplish, and not what somebody told you need to accomplish, but what your soul, that inner spirit, is pressing forward, revealing its truth, that spirit that wants to express itself, when you have the skills to do that in whatever capacity that is, that's the nectar of life. Like I was saying, that's the meaning of life. And you're going to have to face it in confrontation, in battle, in threatening situations. Why else would the New World Order be around at the same time as the true world order? Why? Of course, as hip-hop is growing, of course, the New World Order, that we have to have something. We have to have something that resists what we are, our natural being. It's like when you read in the Bible, like the mark of the beast is coming, and the mark of the beast here, and then the tree of life at the same time in the book of Revelation. Right? You see how this works? You see how that works? That's the battle. That's where the truth, the tree of life, is found when the mark of the beast is trying to kill people. No, I'll follow the tree of life then. I'll seek to eat from the tree of life. I'll be the tree of life. I'll know what that is and all its fractal meaning and purpose. Same thing. Hip-hop, like people are succumbing to the New World Order. Even though it's falling, they're going to fall with them. But hip-hop, those with that sight, those with that spiritual sight, and other communities too. It ain't just going to be hip-hop, the only thing that survives, and everything else is, no, there's all these other kind of communities that as the world is shifting, as the world is changing, as the power structure is moving, and all this fluctuation is going on, and all these things are happening, those with the sight to see and the ears to hear and the vision and the ability and the skill set to create and speak consciousness and speak a new nation into being, speak our city, Hippopia, into being, with the voice and the power and the ability to do so. Rise up, my nobility, speak it into existence. Quit being afraid. Are you afraid of what others may think of you? How old are you really? Do you want Hippopia, or do you just want the imagination of it? Choice is yours. But if you can't speak it into existence, you ain't a real MC. If you can't speak something new and something conscious, if you can't explain something and something of value, why are you going to call yourself an MC then at that point? We have so much ability and skill that we're not tapped into. We have so many things that we're just ignoring about ourselves and our nature to be comfortable, to avoid the battle, to avoid the confrontation. And that confrontation and battle is going to find you. If you got no skills, you're going to lose. Like running from it, hiding from it, eventually it's going to be knocking on your door. up in your grill, up in your face. And if you haven't developed the skills and the time-tested techniques that require opposition, you're going to fail and you're going to lose. Not you, but those who don't practice, those who don't study, those who don't prepare, those who don't have no skills, they're the ones who are going to lose. You're going to win. You're going to have the victory over the street. You're going to have the hip to your hop because you worked on your skill set. You worked on who you were. You developed yourself. You grew yourself. You got so many skills and a versatility of skills, and you didn't let anybody else limit you. You saw beyond. You saw the meta-human that you really are, the spirit being that you really are. Pattern interrupts. I had a few of those tonight. Wanted to talk about them on closing. This is a great skill to have. See, we get syncopated in life and we get in certain rhythms of life, and then we find ourselves developing bad habits, or, we find ourselves chronically having these experiences, right? Like depression, like people who are chronically depressed. I know this because I used to be chronically depressed. I used to get depressed all the time. And so I've realized that it's the pattern interrupts that got me out of depression. It's the pattern interrupts that got me out of sadness and feeling like, everything was going to be lost into the hope and the faith and the meaning and the purpose and all this joy that I feel now. I didn't always feel like this. There was skills that it took to get there, and one of those skills was pattern interrupts. I forget what it's called, but it's this tapping. Somebody can put it in the comments down there. There's this tapping technique. And you just sit there and you tap your body and you're like, even though I feel anxious right now, that's okay. Even though I feel anxious, that's okay. I love and accept myself. Even though I feel anxious, I love and accept myself. Even though I feel nervous, I love and accept myself. Even though I feel depressed, I love and accept myself. Even though I feel depressed, I love and accept myself. Even though I'm afraid, I love and accept myself. Even though I'm afraid, I love and accept myself. Even though I'm overweight, I love and accept myself. See how I'm tapping my body and I'm saying it? Even though I'm overweight, I love and accept myself. It's like all of a sudden that's a pattern interrupt, and the body is having these thoughts and these words and giving itself new neural pathways that are forming, that are random, and then the energy doesn't get stuck because you're like, the energy is I love and accept myself. Even though I'm afraid, I love and accept myself. Even though I'm miserable, I love and accept myself. Even though I'm unfocused, I love and accept myself. And you just tap different parts of your body, right? You just tap it. It's just kind of an intuitive thing. Great pattern interrupt right there. Cold showers, talk about them quite often now. Cold shower, great pattern interrupt. If you have an evening where you're like, oh man, I want to work on my rhymes, or I need to record and I'm not feeling this, and oh man, my back is a little stiff and sore, and oh man, I'm not motivated right now. A great pattern interrupt, cold shower. When I go and jump in that cold shower, it's a great pattern interrupt. I'm going, woo, I'm reinvigorated. It resets the nervous system. It's quick, it's easy, it's painless, it's efficient, and it helps all these other things, the immune system, the energy, it does all this good stuff, right? Pattern interrupt. Exercise is a great pattern interrupt. Like if you're feeling like down, like push-ups, jumping jacks, stretching, excuse me, just simple things. Those are great pattern interrupts. I was feeling that before I did the message from the Minista. Running around doing stuff today. I didn't have time to go out and walk before it got dark. And I needed to go for a walk. Today was my walking day. And so before I did this, I have this space in a room, and it's just this. I practice doing lots of different exercises in hotel rooms and getting exercise inside of hotel rooms when I needed to. And so I got really efficient at being very productive energetically in small spaces. So I sit there working on kicks and blocks and punches and just be jumping around and running in place and doing stretches and doing push-ups and lifting these little weights and doing all this stuff. Pattern interrupt though. My body was just like, even though my body was tired, I didn't have the energy to really do the message from the Minista. I decided to give my tired body the actual best pattern interrupt. I worked out, right? Shaving, I didn't shave today, but if you shave, that's a pattern interrupt. Like when you clean yourself up and just change, like just showering in itself, that's a pattern interrupt. That's why people love a shower. You get home from a long day at work, take that hot shower. Pattern interrupt. You see, we do pattern interrupts all the time, but be aware of that's what it is. And when you consciously do a pattern interrupt, I'm feeling this certain way that I don't want to feel. Let me give it a pattern interrupt. Your brain just is like, I can't even think straight. A good pattern interrupt, go out and get outside so the brain can be outside and just expand into the sky. Because the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit. Like, woo, as far as the eye can see. The brain is just like, when it's been cramped up inside. Pattern interrupt. Eyes are hurting. Oh man, I've been staring at the screen all day. Well, a great way to do that is go sit in a dark room with a candle burning. Pattern interrupt. Let the eyes reset. Let the eyes water. Let the liquid come back. Get the digital out. Great pattern interrupt. Meditation music. Pattern interrupt. See, there's all these things, and because what it is, if we're in a repetitive pattern, what are you doing? That cat is a pattern interrupt. She's literally chewing on a toothpick. Get out of here. Cats are a great pattern interrupt. I don't think I've thought straight all since you've been here. But I just wanted to drop that technique, and really we do these techniques a lot of the times, but it's great to know when we're doing the techniques that you want to do these pattern interrupts, that if you're just feeling a certain way or you're kind of feeling out of sorts, do something different than what you're used to. Speaking with somebody, a great pattern interrupt, you just do something goofy. Like if the situation is just like really serious and you're just done. Sometimes people get mad. Men, we do this all the time when we got some trouble and they be looking at us in trouble and they getting all serious, and when we do something goofy or just do something silly or we start laughing or making jokes, that's a great pattern interrupt. See, pattern interrupts are great with kids too. Like you got your kids, you got a routine. If you're working in a crew somewhere and you're doing something and you guys been working hard, a pattern interrupt, find something to do as a group activity in that way. Husbands and wives, they get caught in a rut. They keep doing the same thing over and over. They fall into habits and the old magic ain't there. Pattern interrupt. Find something new to do, something exciting to do, to experience together. Or if you've been together too much, find something separate to do for a time. Pattern interrupt. Break up the monotony of always being right up in each other's grills to, getting out and doing something and then coming back together. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, they say. Pattern interrupt. Acquiring a new skill is a pattern interrupt in life, especially when you don't know your purpose, or you've just learned your purpose. Learn the new skill. It'll change the pattern, it will change the trajectory that you are on into a new trajectory. A new pattern will emerge. So rise up, my nobility. Let's rise up in our peace. Let's rise up in our prosperity. Let's rise up in our health, love, awareness, and wealth. Peace, love, unity, and safely having fun. We are hip hop. I am hip hop. You are hip hop. Let's eat from the tree of life. Let's learn our lessons directly from Creator. Let's build and see the vision that God has for us as hip hop. What is your skill, my nobility? There it is.